Talk about payroll fraud, and you would have discovered that there's been a heated discussion in the course of the week. Imani Ghana's President Franklin Cudjoe has taken a lot of flack from government people for coming out to disclose that there's been a KPMG audit that was done on payroll fraud that showed, among others, as far back as 2012, that people who have left their employment in government employment are still receiving their salaries. People who were promoted from one point to the next are receiving their old salaries and receiving the new salary double. Instead of receiving an increment on the old, that's not what is happening. A whole lot of very bizarre stuff as far as payroll fraud is concerned. Now, you said the problem is being tackled head on. We've had the Controller and Accountant General deny part of this. But how did this come about? And particularly, there's an aspect of it that's almost criminal, where the suggestion is that there's a deliberate attempt to set up, these, fraudulent ways of paying certain people who are supposed to belong to government.
Okay, interesting. Thank you very much. Let me say that, yes, there was a KPMG audit, indeed commissioned by Government of Ghana, okay? And the purpose is to strengthen the payroll, look at the possible strengths and some of the weaknesses and address them head on. This was done in 2012, a report issued in 2012. And the idea going forward is to correct them, and that is what audit is about. The fact that the 2012 audit report proposes or indeed talked about certain shortfalls or weaknesses in the system does not mean it exists today. That was then. Today is different. Government, through working with the Controller and Accountant General's Department, started working on the audit report, and we put things in order. In doing that, I think it's not fair to only blame the Controller for what has gone wrong. Because for me, I think the Controller is a bureau of processing data or secondary data. Indeed, the first data comes from the MDAs. The MDA, for instance, the Ministry of Education, working through the Ghana Education Service, does recruitment, and then go through Controller, process it, and obviously pay them. The Controller will process them and pay them from that level. So if there's a data integrity issue, it's not coming from the Controller, because the data integrity is coming from the classroom or from where they were employed. Okay. And it's important we make that point clear. For instance, if we go ahead with a school, like a school in my constituency, Ejumakon Disassembly Primary School, and the payroll indicate that there are 5 workers there, 2 female and 3 male, with various names in their code. It is not up to the Controller and Accountant General to know that this person has applied for leave, is gone on maternity leave, or is left, and so he shouldn't be paid. The data must be captured at that level by the employer's Ghana Education Service, submitted to Controller and Accountant General for onward transmission and processes. So it starts from somewhere and ends at somewhere. What we are saying is that going forward, and what we've started doing now, is we generate the data a month ahead, send it to the ministries, departments, and agencies for them to validate. And then now we are going to go ahead and send it to the district level, give it to the classroom, the head teacher, to validate, to say that X person on my payroll is a ghost indeed, left the school, but is not supposed to be paid. Until the Controller gets those information, the Controller cannot do anything about it. So that is not something that we can blame the Controller. I think it's not fair on the part of the Controller for people to impugn that they are part of the fraud because they are paying people that they are not supposed to be paid. It's a problem that we feel that we should be concerned about, but using the KPMG audit report as basis, I believe it's not correct, because the KPMG audit report was something that was commissioned far back in 2012. Action has been taken, and then we're looking at it. So it's not like we are sitting there doing nothing about what we asked KPMG to do. So the situations that you saw or you've seen through the audit report used to exist then, but I can assure you that measures are taken today that it does not exist. I won't say with certainty that 100% everything is gone, but that is what audit is about. You commission an audit, they look at the weaknesses in the system, address it, and going forward. But again, the Ministry of Finance working with what do you call it, the PSC, the Public Services Commission, PSC, and the head of Office of Civil Service, we are working on HRMIS system, Human Resource Management Information System, whereby we should understand that the controller is not the Human Resource Division of Government. No, the Human Resource Division of Government is the PSC and the Office of Head of Civil Service. They have to set up an HR Management Information System, look at it, and then generate a quality data to be given to the controller to process. Until that is done, some of these things will be filtering through, and then you can't blame the controller for it.
I see. Now, does it come to you as any surprise when you hear about payroll fraud and the magnitude at which it's alleged to be perpetrated?
Well, first, something. Let me just point out that, we have not been given the opportunity to really address the question of economic growth and things that is fundamental to the prosperity and lives of Ghanaians. Okay? For example, the government talk about growth. There are new dimensions of growth.
No, we are done with that discussion.
Yeah, but the thing is that
we cannot use today.
Yes, but let me point out something so that the government. Let me point out some issues so that the government can consider.
We've moved on.
No, but let me point this out. There is the distributional implications of growth. How is the growth distributed? There is, in modern context, people talking about the purchasing power parity of growth. Okay? And there are so many issues that the government will have to answer to Ghanaians. But you say it is not the time, but from the CPP, we have perspectives on these things. And we think that the government is really, either burying its head in the sand or is very ignorant of developments in the global stage.
Payroll fraud.
Okay? So payroll fraud. Now, this is a question of the moral fiber of Ghanaians. Okay? It is the attitude that Ghanaians have towards their nation that is at the bottom of this matter. Where is love for country? Is one. Okay. The government also, in payroll policy, the government also talks about using 74% of its revenue for salaries. Is that right? The minister is here.
74%
of your income, of your revenue.
Total revenue.
Total revenue.
Then, not now.
But now how much is it?
It's been reduced to
60 something.
Okay.
50. And that is a serious issue because you have very little money remaining for capital expenditure and for other development projects, and even for how you intervene in the economy to promote strategic investments that will address some of the fundamental issues that we are talking about and you don't want to hear, But these are the issues. These are the core issues. It explains why after 32 years we are still where we are. But if you are a country...
You are blaming it on the individuals.
No, I'm blaming them on policy. Development policy, relevant development policy that addresses the fundamental problems of the economy. We cannot wait for 32 years or more going around in circle. Balance of payment support, deficit, and stabilization fund, and things like that. Meanwhile, you have opportunities for growth in your economy. You are importing more than $500 million of sugar. You have an opportunity to have a sugar industry in this country. You have an opportunity to substitute wheat with other cereals and save that money and grow your economy in a way that affects the lives of your people. The farmers, they should supply the cereals for flour making to the flour mills. And that is about $500 million or more going outside. So what I'm saying is that government will have to make the moves to improve its revenue in a way that it doesn't use 54% of its revenue. So the question
improve the revenue and put it into a leaking basket. That's the question.
The leaking basket there is a cause why there's a leakage. And what I've told you is that the moral fiber of your country is poor. Is poor.
I don't understand that.
That is to say, there is no reverence for public institutions now. There is a cause why a nation develops an ethos or an ethic of abusing the state, because the leaking basket is a function of lack of respect for public institutions. You don't care what you do to the institution. And that has a history in this country. We have had a history of positive defiance. We have had a history of impunity.
It justifies payroll fraud.
It doesn't justify, but you should find the causes. So that now it is important to give the country a new resolve, a new vision.
Doc, there are some measures that have been outlined that we are told are being pursued to reduce payroll fraud. One, the electronic salary payment voucher system, which has been introduced to reduce the incident of ghost workers. We're told also of the e-pay slips systems. Also, you have the periodic payroll audits.
Yes, thank you very much. This payroll issue is a big problem, irrespective of moral fiber aside, that is a national problem.
Exactly.
We have grown up thinking that government must provide everything. That's how we have all grown up, from 60s up to now. Government, government, government. Some of us believe that if you give me the opportunity, I'll find my way. Equalize opportunities and let's find our way. But that notwithstanding, when I was in the Ministry of Finance, I used to say that I needed a Volkswagen, not a Jaguar, to clean the payroll data. We have a systemic problem, and we've always tried to use a very sophisticated technology to clean what I think is a human problem. It's garbage in, garbage out, whether e-slip, whatever. It's human beings that are going to work on it. If we don't correct that, we are going to have a problem. The government is trying, but it is not going to be the solution. Look, we've gone through what? POOFMAP, GiveMess, you name it, BPEMS, and it's all sophisticated. Consultants come and go, and we still continue to have the problem. It's a systemic problem. So we need to think through it again. It used to be, and he mentioned it, that we had the public service being in charge of human resource. It's no longer the case. In fact, the civil service is now a small part of government payroll, less than 30,000. The biggest part he mentioned is GES. But they are a service. So they initiate the payroll. So as long as there are human beings there who don't know what to do, who are corrupt, and they are not supervised, we will continue to have it. As he said, the current system says, GES, you initiate the data. So garbage in, garbage out. Who is supervising? That is the problem. Should we have one body doing the recruitment and therefore following it, or should we leave it to the services?
But you agree that these systems work because we are told of occasions where people are overpaid and are asked to refund the monies.
How long? This has gone on 20 years back. This is not the first time it's being found out. But the systemic problem, we need to close the system. And so far, I don't think, I'm surprised that for a payroll database of less than a million is even too much. We cannot handle it. Other countries have done it. Why are we not able to do it? And I think there, the human factor is a big part. Attitudes. But let's not rule out direct malfeasance. Look, what happened in national service? It's human beings that concocted the scheme. I'm sure, I'll tell you here and now, that the same thing is happening in some agencies. People are being political. Since 2009. Hiring people who don't show up for work and getting paid. And that one, see, when you talk about, controller is saying that they've taken some people out. No social security number on them. How? Who hired them? Look, in the States, my one social security number will track me everywhere. We have national ID. That's why I think we need a national ID. We need to reconfigure our database. Bank accounts. If everybody must be paid with a bank account, how come people on the payroll with dubious bank accounts? Somebody in the bank is colluding with somebody elsewhere. So we need to really sit down as a nation, say we will not accept fraud. Anybody caught, 2 days ago, some people in Controller's office have spent what, 102,000 cedis, only 2 or 3 people. And just multiply that by 20 instances. You are going into millions. But we need to be bold. If it is political, let us cut it off. It won't help. It won't help because we come back and we'll get a large deficit. And we can, then
a while ago you said it's political. Now you say it's political.
Some of it. I know people on payroll who don't show up for work.
You do?
Yes. It happened in...
but that's a crime and you know of the crime.
But it's been reported.
Okay.
Nothing is being done about it.
Oh, you're serious about this?
What happened at Jida?
No. Let's get to that little specific because it serves as an example to help the situation.
It is happening every day. Go to every district. But we don't see the outcome. Investigations come on.
In which agency or department is this that you learnt about and you have reported?
Go to every district. There's some malfeasance going on.
No, I'm talking specific about what you just mentioned that you have made.
Have you read the Auditor General's report? It is there. It's not that we don't know. It is there. We keep saying we are doing it, but investigations go on. We don't know. This is why Occupy Ghana is taking the Auditor General to court. See, we all need to wake up. This is not political in terms of the solution. In the end, we all suffer when there's excess expenditure. We don't need to be spending 57% of our tax revenue because as a nation we have to develop. We need more space. We need more roads. We need more health facilities. We need more schools. But, of course, I also must agree we can generate more revenue without increasing taxes.
Okay.
So that, too, is something that we must tackle. You hear all kinds of things going on in customs area, and it keeps coming.
Okay. Now, this problem is not new. You have been in government, and you know that it's always been there.
Yes.
But we're not talking about a government that has a cabinet subcommittee to even help this thing. There's a cabinet subcommittee to help.
Which government didn't have?
You did?
I chaired our own.
Okay.
Every day, we're liaising with the controller. It's a systemic problem. So every government has suffered, but I'm saying as a nation, we need to decide that this cannot go on forever. And therefore not make it political, but deal with it. Yeah. But let's not fool anybody and think that the technology will be the solution.
Right.
I think that's where we lose track. Because if it were, starting from POOFMAP to BPEMS and all GIVMEs, then we'll have the solution.
You almost ruled out the human element.
No,
which he's saying that is very important. You should not ignore.
I did not rule out the human element. But what I said is
you sought to exonerate
it is not fair.
The controller and accountant general.
No, I did not. It is not fair for us to blame the controller.
Only the controller.
Only the controller.
Yes.
In the sense that you belong to the multimedia group. Okay. This section, for instance, is Joy side. It is the manager here who will know that Kweku Mensah is no longer working here, and will have to send the data to HR for HR to send to account before payment is done. Until you send that data, you can't blame the accountant.
You see, the system is not integrated. It should be said that
blame
when at the district I retire
in a whole,
and you put me in the system,
what has the accountant
controller
done?
Should get it. It's not
the
integrated.
The accountant is only using a data that you have given to him through the HR for him to process or her to process. So you cannot blame controller entirely. I don't want us to say that it's political, and so there are politicians supporting people to be on the payroll and not working. I don't want us to go there. If we are tackling a national problem, we should tackle it as such. Yes. The issue, and you agree with me that during your time, these problems were there.
Of course.
And it takes all of us collectively to handle the problem and deal with it once and for all. And for us to accept that until the headmaster is given the opportunity to validate and take responsibility for it, in that secondary school or the primary school somewhere 200 kilometers away, and send it to Accra,
but that is the
that headmaster will always let it go.
No, but that is the law. The headmaster is responsible.
So, for instance,
it's the law.
You see, and we always make mistake that as if the national service issue was on the payroll. The national
the controller categorically denied that, and
wasn't on the payroll.
It said this was the explanation it gave. It says that it denied any direct involvement in the National Service Secretariat processing and payment of allowances for service personnel.
Yes, which is true.
That's been peddled. Yes. And it says that the National Service Secretariat, like any other subvented agency, is self-accounting and manages its own payroll. That's from the Controller and Accountant General. Well, you're still here on Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis show, and it's brought to you by Bank of Africa and also by MTN. MTN everywhere you go. Now, just a couple of your messages that you've been sending in. This one, okay, I've read one first of it. This one says that it's from Daniel Atampuba Anania. He says that, where's my pocket lawyer and street economist Abdul Malik Kwekubako Jr.? Okay, Kwekubako is on a break. If you notice, every year when we start the year, he takes a little breather. So Kwekubako will be back hopefully next week, so you'll get to hear him. Inusa Hafiz says, our success as a nation is not measured by how many years we have governed or how many wars we have won. It is measured by the quality of life which we have created for the society that our ideals were founded upon. Why is the automatic adjustment formula not working? We, the ordinary Ghanaians, have never bought fuel on credit at the pump. At the pump, okay. Government has failed us. There is this one. Kweku Ohene Boafo says, "Please come again." Okay, you wanted me to confirm if Atufosin is a chartered accountant. Well, yeah, right here, aren't you?
I'm still on it. Yeah.
Okay, he says he's still on it, right? Solomon.
From South Bank.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I think I'll end the messages here, and then you see, you mentioned the HRM systems, which is being developed. Is that what you are placing your hope on, that will be the panacea?
No,
because you kept referring to that, and yes, I almost forgot to bring you back on it.
Let me come again. What I did say is that we've noticed a deficiency relating to human resource management. And to resolve that, with the size of the payrolls that we have, you need a management information system to resolve that. In doing that, government has commissioned an HRMI system that will interface with the GIFMIS and also the payroll. So that will provide an information to the controller in real time for the controller to use it in processing data.
Okay.
So until that is done, the controller will only be relying on that information that will be sent to them through the MDAs. But the HR system, you shouldn't be the same person appointing, okay, and then obviously making the payment and inputting data. If you are to be appointed, you have to go through a system. I mean, someone appointing you, HR management or HR system appointing you, data input through the HR system. Then you get appointment. Obviously, you start working. Somebody filling the timesheet, sent to the accountant to indicate that you are working or you are not working, and that they can process that. Until that is done, you always have that issues. So what we are saying is that we've recognized that it is not the controller who is the HR manager of government. The controller is the accountant of government. Somebody must do that work, and that person will have to send right data to the controller
like
to process.
Said, garbage in, garbage out.
Yes, so somebody, until that is done, the controller will only process secondary information. Data that is sent to the controller to process. I'm not saying controller is 100% correct.
This is going to cost us, right?
Everything costs. Okay, there is a cost to it. Yes, but you look at it, whether it will solve a problem or it won't solve a problem. You look at how much you are losing as a result of this thing not being available, and you look at what you can do to resolve it.
What we are losing is very huge, isn't it?
You cannot put figure to it with certainty. With certainty.
In 2011, in the budget statement, the Minister of Finance said they were going to save $500 million.
2011?
Yes.
Okay, so
million. That's what he said.
But did we save it?
No, because the problem was not solved.
Yeah, you see.
So it continues.
But that is an assumption. That is an assumption.
But if the Minister of Finance
with certainty, I'm not doubting that. Oh, I'm very happy that you have to accept every assumption that Finance Minister makes. You see, because you are the same person saying here that you don't accept these assumptions. But what I'm trying to say is that you make assumption, okay? Everything you have to estimate something
on sound basis,
and quantify it
on
sound basis,
yes.
And then you work towards it to achieve it. Indeed, we did not achieve it, and that was when we were implementing the biometric system. That was when we were implementing the biometric system in 2011. We agreed that we did not save that much, but you cannot put with certainty a certain amount to say that this is what we are going to save.
Nothing in the world. I mean, you have to put a number.
I think you're not.
He's making a point. Let him finish.
Nobody's saying that it's 100% certain, but within some reasonable error margin, we should know. Otherwise, we'll throw up our arms.
Okay. And you want to ask a precise question that I'm not asking.
Yes, that you are not asking. How long have they known this? How long has this thing existed?
It's always been there. I've always heard how many ghost names removed, how many ghost names removed.
And how many systems have been devised to try and resolve the problem?
Several. We lost a lot.
Now, the question is, why were the systems not working? So the pertinent question for the sitting minister, who has now devised a system, what makes him think that this one will work?
Samson, thank you very much. It's important
because it comes back to the fundamental issue.
Let him answer.
We've always made an estimation that you can save up to 10% of the payroll, and it's an estimation if you put things right or if systems works well, in the sense that, for instance, savings does not always rely on ghost names. If you have an absentee teacher who is supposed to be at post, fail to go to post, for instance, 30 days or 15 days in a month, he's not working, or 10 days in a month, he shouldn't be paid that 10 days that he's worked. That is an estimation. That does not mean that teacher is a ghost. He goes to work, but he's an absentee teacher, so we make that savings. So that is the savings we are talking about. It does not only relate to ghost. Secondly, recently we all heard the government workers or teachers who doesn't have bank account. It doesn't mean in entirety that all of them are ghosts. That is wrong. Because we look at historically what happened, why were they put on without bank account? Because some of them started as people teachers. With that size of salary, the bank will not open bank account for you. So they lump them together, open a wholesale account for them. They pay them from that account, and then if there is any surplus, they transfer it back to the state. That is historical. That was the case. You see, historically, that was the issue. Now we are saying that will mean that it can highlight fraud, or that is a way of fraudulent activity. So we felt that should stop. If you were a teacher, you should have your own account. But that does not necessarily mean that all of those guys that we took off the payroll, they are all ghosts. And so you should quantify the impact and say that would have made that savings. No, you make a mistake. So we should understand that point. We are of the view that we can make some savings. But as to how much we can save with certainty, we have to be careful with that.
And how much how much money are you throwing at this service or this issue with the expectation that you are going to save 10%? Are we putting in more money or throwing good money after bad?
Not really.
See, the point is that in answering the question, the minister was waffling, really. You know,
you were not satisfied. That's what you mean.
Yes, I mean, more or less, because it didn't address the question. He says he's not sure whether the thing is going to succeed. Perhaps they may just save about 10%. He did not say
I
that.
didn't tell you that we are not sure it's going to succeed.
Well, more or less. I mean, your measure of success was 10% savings. Right. Now, how much money are we throwing at that to take the 10%? And how much would the 10% be? You see, the government is behaving like an ostrich. You have to address, and it comes back to what we have already mentioned from the very beginning. You have to address the fundamental issues of the problem. What is the incentive for the headmaster, for the teacher there to be crooked? And you depend on him.
But you always have to depend on the person supervising.
Absolutely.
That is the responsibility.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
But
then
you have to
remove the incentive.
Thank you.
For him to do that.
End it there for me.
You have to remove that incentive.
I've got instructions to read this batch of text messages, and then we end this part of the discussion. Kofisika says, do fuel prices depend on the amount at which it was bought on the international market or on the daily prevailing world market price? That's a question. Kwame Owusu, you see why the finances of the nation are in a mess. The minister cannot explain the policies without referring to MPP and what they did. Solve the problems and stop giving excuses, because it's clear whatever they are doing is not working. Benjamin in London says payroll rot will never go away in Ghana because we are people too corrupt and dishonest. I mean, that's a straightforward point. Yes, because you receive double what you are entitled, and you keep quiet and you take it and go and chop. Now, let's move on. Kweku Owusu Mensa in Germany says, Samson, so long as the controller does the payroll in Accra, the payroll fraud is going to continue until thy kingdom come. Government payroll could be controlled if it is being localized and checks being made effective. Those are, you said
we've started
centralizing payroll. Okay, and
now we do the printing at the regional level.
Right. Spike in Ohio says payroll fraud fester because the government is reluctant to deal decisively with that problem. Okay, you may have sent in this before. You were told of all the numerous measures that are being taken, including a cabinet subcommittee to deal with it, or that you just don't believe in that. Osman Rajab says at GES, the IPPD coordinators are the worst culprits. The e-pay system is likely to fail because the very people who will validate the workers are the same people recruiting the ghost. You are interested in the validation process. And here you are being told that those who will validate, the workers are the ones who are recruiting the ghost.
No. I disagree with that.
Oh, okay.
And coming back
at GES.
Yeah, at GES. You see, GES, they don't recruit themselves entirely. You have those coming in through the automatic system. Okay, you go through the teacher training college. You qualify, and you are recruited. They don't recruit themselves. It's through the automatic system. And even that, you need financial clearance from the Ministry of Finance. Outside those ones.
But GES must certify that it's come through the system.
Yes. So it's the headmaster.
There's a teacher who has actually sent me a text message and is complaining that they are being asked to refund some monies which were wrongly paid to them. You took it. Zion Inwa says that Ghana is not a serious nation. What is happening in Ghana can't happen in South Africa. You don't go to work and you get paid. Please, Samson, ask the question: who is responsible? Who is supposed to monitor what is happening?
Is the headmaster?
Ghana is indeed is in dire need of a leader. Okay, thank you for those. Thank you for those messages. I wanted to, find out if we could wrap up on this small point. I've heard some complaints about the MPA seeking to rework a new formula for the automatic adjustment formula.
There was a suggestion which I found so absurd.
And it's not supposed to come to Parliament. That's where you are concerned.
No, but even for the president, for them to allow the president to say that he's directed that, it's a parliamentary issue. The law is the law. MPA is breaking the law. They can't sit in the office and say, we refuse to adjust. You see, that is why sometimes so much worry. If there's a problem with the law, come to Parliament. And they shouldn't allow the president to be the one that say, I'm going to bring in a mitigation levy. It's not up to the president. That is internal. If he proposes and it comes to Parliament, and I gave an example. Check. As we speak, there's something called the exploration levy. It used to be there when GNPC, we did not have commercial oil. It is still there. And we are giving GNPC money through the oil revenue. Who is chopping this money? If you remove that, oil prices will come down. It's been there since 2009. Oil came in 2010.
There's absolutely no basis for it to be
There's
there.
no basis because when we didn't have any way...
You represent me in Parliament. What have you done?
Oh, how many times haven't I asked the Minister of Energy on this matter? It's an energy committee. Because when we didn't have commercial oil, it made sense. GNPC had
Duncan is smiling because I'm asking his question for him. You are representing us in Parliament, in that guest house.
And I'm telling you...
And something is going on illegally for as long as how many years, and you're watching?
No, I'm not watching. Go to the Hansard. I've been reminding every Minister of Energy of this issue. Our hands are tied sometimes in Parliament.
What do you say to that?
Well, you're not asking the question for me.
The issue relating to exploration levy, we should look at it in a bigger context. In the sense that we used to give that money, or we give that money, this came into being when GNPC used to be the regulator. Okay? The function of the regulator has now been transferred to Energy Commission, Petroleum Commission.
Okay.
What we are working on now, and then if you remember, the finance minister signaled to Parliament that we are reviewing the petroleum price build-up, and we'll be coming before Parliament to propose some changes. In doing that, some of the suggestions we are looking at that is still that exploration is being done. Somebody is performing the function. Can we take that money from GNPC, now being a national oil company, to the energy, to the Petroleum Commission, which is more or less performing the function that GNPC used to perform? That is an option, but not that it should be out.
It was not only because it was the regulator. Please, the exploration levy was not put there because it was the regulator. It was mainly used to finance its exploration activities. We have gone commercial. If you want to suggest, I'm saying that when we move that, somebody should have taken note. That's what I'm saying. Because now we are giving back money through the oil revenue.
But he's saying that exploration activities are still going on.
But we are giving them money for that. Explicitly under the PRMA Act.
Okay.
If you want to give the money to the regulator, come to Parliament. The Petroleum Commission law.
I've said that all.
No, but
you are saying you would come to Parliament.
I'm saying the Petroleum Commission law.
Petroleum price build-up.
Okay.
And
Minister,
we will come before the House.
What I'm saying is that the Petroleum Commission law did not make that consideration. So that is why I'm saying ab initio, it should have been aborted. Now, if you want to amend later, I don't have a problem. But somebody is using the money wrongly. That's my point.
Well, I don't see, because
let me take your brief comments on this. This is where we want to end the discussion on the economy.
The question is, what is all these exchanges mean? What does it mean to the life of the Ghanaian? You have a reduction in petroleum. You use in petroleum prices. You use petroleum to fire your thermal plants and things, and we still have Dumso, for example. What is happening?
We have a challenge.
Can the minister address the thing? I mean, and I ask this on behalf of Ghanaians. How come that the oil prices have been reduced? You buy oil to fire your thermal plants, and they are still idle, they are not working, and we still have Dumso. Even if you're not going to give it for transportation.
Which plants are idle?
Abuazi, the thermal plant, they tell us about Tor and all that.
Not all of the thermals are working.
The thermals are not working because they are not buying crude. That is the point. That is the point I'm making. So if you won't give us to put a lower price for our cars,
give us light.
Give us light.
Okay.
The incompetence is incomprehensible.
So you see the solution to the Dumso situation in being able to power the other thermal plants that are not being powered presently, and are you saying that you know that we are unable to power them because of the lack of crude or what?
That's what the VRA has come out to say.
Let the minister answer the question. And as usual,
no, I'm asking you.
Yes,
because
we know that. But when this Dumso started, what did the government tell us? It has always been a slant. There is a cable that is broken at a pipe that is broken in under the sea somewhere from Nigeria, bringing gas from Nigeria. That was the beginning.
But was that not correct?
West African gas pipeline.
Well, that was correct.
Okay, I asked him questions.
Has it been repaired?
It was partly correct.
He asked
It was partly
questions
correct.
back.
Okay.
You want to just maybe in
the
2
problem
minutes speak to
persisted.
that and then we'll move on?
You see, something.
I mean,
The issue,
ask the minister to put the
Sorry,
the
he's
issue
speaking
with
to it,
Dumso is not only relating to fuel. Generation is a major issue, and fuel is an issue, and transmission.
Distribution.
So if you are to zoom in only to fuel and to make an analysis that because the prices are coming down, so Dumso should stop, you will make a mistake.
You see, the minister is putting a slant again.
No matter what I say, you will
putting a
not
slant again
agree.
because Electricity Corporation says we don't get the power. Gridco says we don't have power to distribute, and that it is generation. I mean,
It's all of the above.
well.
All right, thank you very much. You're still here on Newsfile on Joy 99.7
but my point is that the
FM
minister is
on
putting a slant.
radio here in
As a
Accra. In Kumasi, you are on Love 99.5, and we're also streaming live at myjoyonline.com and multi-TV world/streams. This is your Joy News channel on multi-TV. There's this particular guy who sent this text message like how many times? Repeated it about 7 times, and it's directed at you about your reference to why you have had problems with is it the GMPC and the money they are looking for and all of that, and saying he doesn't believe that you really have a genuine case because you have once spoken about government spending about $3 million to build a golf pitch, and it's not there.
But see, the person is not informed. I think let's state the facts. He's making a reference to a statement I made on the floor of the House about Bui,
Right.
where in their budget some amount has been allocated to golf, and I'm saying that the minister knows and I know that we have challenges, serious challenges at Bui. That's not a very good use of our resources when you have challenges to want to spend $3 million for the management staff. That's not to say that if things were going well, golf may not make them productive, but it's a question of priority. But GMPC, Samson, I'll state it on record. I'm worried because they're becoming, I don't know what it is.
Behemoth.
Much more than that. And they are flouting our laws. Let me tell you one example. 2013, they came to Parliament to ask for money. It was given to them. They spent $32 million to pay a toll that a debt that toll owed, not that GMPC owed. I'm saying such behavior should not be acceptable by any Ghanaian.
Okay.
That's all. So
Right.
it's a genuine thing.
Thank you.
If they want to borrow 700, let them bring it to Parliament and explain.
Okay. Right. Unfortunately, your attempt to stop that through an injunction
we are
in
going
court
on appeal, don't
has been
worry.
stopped. You appeal?
Yes, we filed
Okay.
an appeal. And
Oh,
we'll
I
go all
see.
the way to the Supreme Court if we must.
You filed an appeal?
Yes.
Against the
Yes.
injunction that was refused?
Yes.
Okay.
Our lawyers have done so, I'm told last week.
Right.
We'll go all the way to the Supreme Court.
I see.
This is not a matter of politics. This is a matter of
National interest.
and we all must support it.
When exactly do you file this appeal?
I was told last week.
Last week.
Am I sure? I'm sure. I've been in public
Because you
service
are armed
for
against
Thank you.
them.
Thank you very much. We're taking a break here, and when we return, then we'll look at the issue of the mass, transport that the government is operating and the problems that are coming up with it. We'll pick the views of people who understand the intricacies of these economic and finance matters and see what they have to say about that also. Is the dissolution of the board the way to go? And also asking the managers to step aside for investigations, is that the way to go? Should we completely forget about government, having a role to play in public transport? is that the way to go? And then we'll have some little time to ask questions about who, when, and how, whose head will roll at the central medical stores. We'll be right back.